got a lot of reasons to be upset today. Apparently the world was just hell-bent on pissing me off today. Well, yesterday going on into today, and well, just stuff in general. I've got a rough outline here. I guess all this starts with Saturday, and I think I talked to it on Lord Nurgle's stream. I did talk about this somewhat, but it's still a thing, and I guess I'll talk about it in a little bit more detail. Where I was, I guess I'll talk about the actual day that I had first, and then go into what was happening in the meantime. I might even be able to put in some footage of the fun times I was having. Well, that day was not only the day that Boise State was having a football game in Boise against Colorado State University. Any Boise State game is a good reason to have a fun time, And not only that, but Boise State was also having its homecoming day, homecoming week, and that was kind of the penultimate end of it, or whatever the word is. And of course, homecoming is not complete without a homecoming parade, right? Because it's a parade. So my brother and I, we got to see that parade, and there was a ton of candy at that parade thrown at us. It was a lot of candy. I enjoyed the candy, and there were different student organizations and just different organizations from around town in that thing, and even there was a classic car club, which was cool, classic cars, who doesn't like that? So, there's something that I didn't notice, but we'll get into that in a moment, but, in that parade. So, we keep going with our day. We actually had, we got to have dinner at the Boise River Cafe, which is, this buffet type thing that's actually in the Student Union building at Boise State. It's a great place. It's a quantity over quality kind of thing where it's not the best food, but it's good food still, and you're getting a lot of it. So, that was always fun to get to do. Then, after, of course, we had the dinner, because I don't get to eat much on campus anymore. As strange as that sounds, we don't get to eat on campus, at least eat a proper meal on campus anymore. So after we did that, Tom and I, my brother and I, we went to the game, and we're having a really good time to spend, despite, the rain. We're actually having a pretty good time jumping, hollering around, making fools of ourselves, and I'll probably even put in some footage right here. And, a lot of cool things were happening, and, of course, Boise State won the game. I thought they should have won by more, but a win's a win. We're gonna have to think of some better stuff if we want BYU to come here and want them to leave with a loss, but that's another thing entirely. So at that game, I even got to be on the jumbotron a bunch. Apparently, I didn't even know I was on it, but because I was just dancing around making a fool of myself, I got to be on the thing, and I got quite a lot of high fives later, after the fact, when we're already outside of the stadium. But anyway, we're having fun. And then, after the game is over, Boise State won. We go through all the trouble of getting home because, yeah, you really should not be in a hurry if you're anywhere near campus right after a Boise State game. You're just not getting it. You're not getting anywhere anytime soon in a hurry. Get all the way home. I'm still awake, and I'm sore from everything, and my voice is nearly gone because I was shouting. And I'm lying in bed, just right over there. I'm lying in bed, and it's probably 1:30 in the morning by that time. And I'm on Twitter. I'm on my personal Twitter, not my Tinfoil Matt Twitter, but my personal Twitter. And I see this really strange tweet come across the wire. Something about a press release by the president of the university, Dr. Bob Custra. I do not like this dude, but my personal differences with him have very little to do with this story. The press release is apparently mentioning a float that was supposed to be in that parade I mentioned earlier. I did not remember such a float. It was a float for the Black Lives Matter student organization there on campus. I did not know that we had such an organization. It didn't surprise me. I just didn't know that. My first reaction was like, wait a minute. Black Lives Matter wasn't in the parade. And then I read on, and apparently they were in the parade, and not only that, their parade float had been vandalized to the point where you wouldn't have known it was Black Lives Matter in there. And not only that, but they were apparently given the tough choice. The Black Lives Matter group, they were given the tough choice of either not being in the parade at all or going as is, as the float was damaged. And I'm being told that they were in fact in the parade, and I don't remember it. But I see now why I don't remember it. It was literally, by the time the vandals were done with it, it was just a golf cart. So that's probably why I just didn't notice them. And so that press release was about trying to find the vandals that had done this to that float, and I was thinking like, okay, this might have actually happened, this might not have, but no. As I wake up in the morning, Sunday morning. There's this Idaho Statesman article. I may put it on the screen, I may not. Please don't get mad at me if I don't. But anyway, I get that. I get to read this Idaho Statesman story where there's pictures of what the float was and video and what it was reduced to. After the vandals got done with it, and it made me particularly angry because I remember the explanation for the state of the float afterwards was wind. Some idiot was just trying to explain it as wind because it actually was kind of windy that day. But that stuff wasn't done by wind. So yeah, so apparently some racist idiot decided to do that stuff. And now the story is getting to the point where it's gaining a lot of traction. Because if you do that kind of racist thing, they're not going to shut up. And why should they? They should tell everybody about this. And I personally do not agree with a lot of the violent and destructive things that Black Lives Matter is responsible for. However, that does not mean we get to do all these wrong and stupid and racist things to them. That does not mean that at all. Ironically enough, Black Lives Matter was actually the peaceful one in this scenario. So, of course, as the day wore on, yesterday, Sunday, wore on, got a lot of traction, not only because these kids actually didn't do anything. Not only did these kids not do anything, but some bad things were done to them. And that really sucks. I mean, and it's kind of obvious that, because of the choice, because not only what was done to them, but the choice that they had to make at the end, where it was an attempt to silence them. And I do not agree with Black Lives Matter, a lot of things that they do, but they should be able to at least say their message. I mean, if all they were doing was just simply a parade float, yeah, that's just freedom of speech area stuff. That's fine, They should be able to do that without having to be harassed and vandalized like that. So the story is now going national, and because it's going national, and it's going to gain more traction, and the people who are responsible for this are likely to not be found, because I don't think that Dr. Bob Custer is really going to be able to make things move fast enough to the point where the people responsible are caught and dealt with properly. Because that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen quickly. There's going to be a lot of people very naturally angry, and because they are angry, a lot of I suspect that and I really want to be wrong about this, but I suspect that there's going to be a lot of stuff that's escalating beyond just protesting, because that's what happens with a lot of Black Lives Matter stuff. I mean, the facts are there. That's just simply what happens. I don't want it to happen that way, and I'm guessing actually that the local student organization doesn't want it to happen that way either. But it's likely that we're going to have some sort of riot on our hands here in good old Boise, of all places. I mean, people didn't know that there was a Ferguson, Missouri, until there were riots. Then a lot of people knew about Ferguson, Missouri. In fact, some of them may still know where it is. So a lot of people may still know where Ferguson is. That's going to happen to Boise. I'm very fearful of that, because I don't want a whole lot of violence and destruction, and I don't want a whole bunch of racist crap associated with this town either. I want it to leave alone and be left alone. Why can't we just be humans to each other on that? So that was one reason to be upset going into today. But last night, when I was expecting to do a SST with the Woolly Bumblebee, as I normally do, I was getting my soundboard ready, and the Bumble Brigade chap, we're getting ready. We're getting ready. And then we see this message from the Woolly Bumblebee in there saying something's kind of made an emotional moment or whatever, and she is deciding not to do SST because of that. And, well, like, okay, fine, things happen. At the time, I was really just assuming it was just some sort of personal drama that Willie did not want out in the open. At the time, I assumed that, so I'm just like, okay, whatever. Willie's taking some personal time. So I did somebody else's stream that night. I did Nurgles, in fact, and that's where I told the Cliff Notes version of the last thing I mentioned. So I didn't think really much of it, of Wooly. I really didn't think much of Wooly, skipping the SST until the morning. And before morning, I had another Dreams series worthy dream. It was a nightmare, and I'll be doing a separate video on that right after this one. In fact, I'm not going to be uploading this until I at least have the that video rendered, so that I can at least schedule things close to each other and get things done at least hopefully by tonight. Either way, so I'm not going to say much more about that other than the clue I'm about to put on the screen. Okay, now that so that happened in the meantime, and so I wake up in the morning, which yeah, the whole wake up thing. So in the I wake up in the morning and I find this video that without audio, that it's apparently just some screenshots of the discussion that happened in one of Kevin Logan's video, and I'm gonna either link on the screen or in the description or something to that video, because there's a comments thing that made Wooly very angry, and once you see it, you'll very much understand why. And when I saw this video, my knee-jerk reaction was to find the other people that set her off like this and lash out at them. Make them pay for making my friend, making my friend upset like this. And that very well could be just the chauvinist pig in me, but that's really what I wanted to do. And that option's still not off the table, but I'm kind of busy right now. So I had that going on also, where the universe is just trying to piss me off today. And I'm just waiting for just one more thing to... I'm just waiting for one more thing to make me snap or something. But yeah, that was all the stuff leading into today. Y'all have a good day.